One thing I've been thinking about a lot as I get a little bit older is the internet's always aggressive nature. You know, like the fact that people will get online, especially with video games, and they're ready to fight, they're ready to pick a fight with other players, and this extends a lot to content creators and streamers as well. Now, I don't necessarily think I'm above this issue. Like, there have been plenty of times where I will say an opinion, a load of people will disagree, and I will still think I'm right. I think that's just human nature. Like, you can have an opinion that goes against the grain. That is okay. But recently there was a situation where I'm not going to dogpile on this person's name. It was a streamer, and it just reminded me of this situation where, like, they were playing Marvel Rivals, and they're a very big competitive player in the scene, and they were adding, like, a lot of derogative terms to people who play healer and things like that, and, you know, saying that they sucked, or that they were, you know, the easiest role to play, or that there were some other harsher words, too, that I think have since been taken down. But in general, like, this is not a standalone occurrence, right? Like, every day, I think you have all of these kids and teenagers and stuff who get on these games, and they want to be like the next ninja with Fortnite. Like, they want to be a multimillionaire who gets big off this game. And some people can do that. You know, some people can go into competitive, do a really good job on games, go somewhere in their life with it, and have fun. But I think a lot of people along the way lose the plot. And I think a lot of content creators and just players in general ruin these games for everybody else. And that's something I wanted to talk about for a few minutes today. I did think about, you know, showing up in person for this video, but I wasn't really sure if it would add anything. The channel has not been getting pushed at all by YouTube, though, and I'm noticing a lot of the most popular channels, like the host of them, shows up more in real life. So if you would like me to show up more in real life videos, let me know. I appreciate that. And I do have a question of the day for you, which is, have you ever had a video game ruined for you by someone else? And how? This could be on the internet through someone exploiting the game, breaking it over and over until it's not fun. This could be somebody just trash talking you nonstop to the point where you just don't want to interact with the game. Whatever it is. And I don't care if the root cause of it is, oh, I was bad at the game, so this person did this. I still think this is unacceptable behavior, to push people away from something that's supposed to be fun. And in terms of this streamer who was doing this, I'm not debating, like, this person's skill, right? Like, I'm not even naming their name because I don't want to dogpile, and it's just a minor example of what I'm talking about. But, like, in general, a lot of the times the people who say these very rude things, or sometimes even the people who get vicious on the mic and stuff, it's actually not like they suck. There are some of them that do. There are some of these people who get on these games, they're just awful. They're trash. And they blame everyone around them for why they're doing poorly, and they take it out on people. That's absolutely a thing. And that's another conversation altogether, like another group of people who just ruins things for others. But, like, you can be good at a game and be an asshole. You know, like, you can be good at a video game and just be a bad person. And I know it might be a hot take, but there's a very big difference between minor trolling, joking around that means nothing at the end of the day, and being just a total asshole to everybody on video games that are supposed to be fun. You know, Marvel Rivals, I think, is a great example of this because it is a game I'm in the community of right now where I'm pretty silent. Like, I watch what people do, I will talk about the game on my channel, and that's it. But the amount of games I've queued into where people are just being totally verbally abusive to each other, not in like a funny way, but in a, oh, why didn't you do this? You suck. Why don't you keep yourself safe? But not, the, you know, actually the other meaning for KYS that you can't really say on YouTube anymore. You know, you shouldn't be playing this game. You're garbage. And like, it can be in quick match where it's non-competitive. It's just playing the game, or it can be in competitive lobbies. In fact, I've been in many competitive lobbies that are nicer and more cordial than many quick match lobbies, which is like a very big oxymoron, right? And I have this problem with people where I think that everybody thinks what they do and who they are is more important than it is. Now, I don't want to devalue people, but at the end of the day, like what I do, for me, for content creation, there is a lot of hard work that people don't see, but it's a different type of work, right? And there are way harder jobs than what I do. I think for me, a lot of the hardest part of what I do is mental issues, is like putting hours and hours into something, it doing bad, and then blaming yourself, Whereas like somebody working in a coal mine, they're going to face totally different dangers, or somebody who's a first responder, they're going to be dealing with something totally different. But I don't think a lot of these content creators, and I don't think a lot of kids who are watching them and who are mimicking their attitudes, it's kind of like people watching like the alpha male videos, online and stuff, the non-meme ones. I don't think that they have the emotional maturity to look at these other people, recognize that they can actually be good at the game, but still not be someone that you want to emulate and copy the behavior of, Like there's a lot of people who are great at skills, but they might not necessarily be nice people. And yet one of the things that's ruining our world is the fact that everybody is a dick to each other. Like you can't go on a video game without it being divided. And again, not in a trolly way, not in a Call of Duty MW2 2009 lobbies way where it's like, I'm not excusing it, but it's like people throwing around slurs and just dumb stuff and like nobody means anything they're saying. They're just being an idiot. It's not even excusable in that way. Again, you can have your own conversation about that language, but like it wasn't ever meant to mean anything back then. It was always just people trolling each other, being a moron, because most of them were teenagers or emotionally stunted adults. But now, I feel like gaming is more rude than it's ever been openly. Like I've started getting back into RuneScape lately, and I don't really talk to anybody. That's a series I'll probably cover more on JayRPG, my role-playing game channel. While there is like better moderation to everything, like where people can get banned for just being rude, and there are a lot of sensitive people, my point isn't that we should censor every game and every interaction with people. But my point is I feel like people should just be better people from the get-go. We shouldn't need all these moderation tools. We shouldn't need people going back through game replays to see someone calling you the N-word to know that they're being a dick, right? We shouldn't need all of these things. People should be able to work their job, go home, and play a video game in peace. People should be able to get into a team-based game and learn to work as a team. Or, move the people who are kind of a cancer in that community out. But I do feel like instead what we've done, kind of as a world, is reward people for acting this way. We reward people for acting cocky. We reward people for being just outright rude. It's a catch-22 because it's like if you look at some of the best competitive gamers, they're not nice. Like some of them are, but like look at the fighting game community. There are plenty of nice people. But I remember my first interaction with a person in the fighting game community was like, and this was somebody who was like doing esports level, was them like ragging on normal old players. And this was on an old Twitter I don't have anymore. I deleted it, so it's not even findable. But like they were ragging on just average players who play the game. The lifeblood of a fighting game. The people who make up 99% of the sales, and without them, support is pulled. And they were, going after that and saying how bad it made the game and how stupid it was that they would cater to this 99% of players and stuff. And I kind of pointed out, like, well, why would they cater to the 0.5 or 1%? Not that they can't do that, not that your balanced feedback isn't important, because a lot of these guys will understand the fighting game technically and the mechanics behind it far better than normal people. But I look at someone like Maximilian Dude, who's a huge fighting game content creator, who, I know people will be like, oh, I don't like how he plays this, or, oh, I don't care for that, or whatever. But in general, unless I'm missing a big section of his life, he's somebody I follow because he's just genuinely nice to people. Like, he can be good at a game, or bad at a game, or get out of practice with a game and get back in practice. And I never see him just being a dick to people. I never see him pushing people away from the game. His goal is to always bring people into these things because it's supposed to be fun. And like, to me, that's what the top tier players, whether you are, a teenager and you are a grandmaster rank or whatever in Marvel Rivals, and you don't have a job and you don't need a job because you're in high school, or you are a 35-year-old man or woman who, like, this is your career, right, is like esports. I don't understand the hubris that these people get, where they get to this level of skill and all of a sudden everybody who isn't there doesn't matter. And they think that game design should cater to only them. But you look at something like Marvel Rivals, that lost, I've seen so many projections, but I believe just based on PC numbers, the player count was down like 70% this season. I still love the game. I've been enjoying the season. I've liked Emma Frost, I've liked Krakoa, I've liked a lot of stuff. I have criticisms, I share my criticisms, but like if I was the best player in the world, and I was looking at the fact that those numbers were down 70%, I'm sure I would still have my opinion, but you know what I would also realize? Well, maybe the opinion of that 70% of people is also going to matter, because without them, this game I like is going to go away. This is the nature of these online games, these multiplayer games. But people have such an ego that they get into them, whether they're good or bad, but often it gets worse the better they get, I feel like. And they just get verbally abusive and weird about it. It's like, it's pushed me away from doing game chat in anything, like ever. I go into a public lobby in RuneScape, like just a normal world. I don't talk to people. I just talk to my friends, and that's it. I go into GTA Online. I don't ever go on the mic on there. I just talk to my friends privately, and that's it. Like, people used to be verbally abusive, but I feel like it was trolling. Whereas nowadays it feels less like trolling and more like people are just so mad in general and have such a ego and hubris in general that they get in, they think they're the main character, they think they're the protagonist of life, something I've talked about in general with people before. Like, I feel like a lot of people have this point of view, especially in the West, of like, I'm number one, I see things from my point of view, therefore I'm the main character and I matter. And they don't just drag those things into real life with like politics and their job and go into the gas station and just being a dick for no reason. They don't just go out into the world and do that. They also take it online onto a recreational activity. And in almost any other recreational activity, this wouldn't be acceptable. That's something people have to understand. Like, yeah, I agree with some criticisms of like how people have gotten soft. You know, like there are some people who have gotten soft, like where words bother them too much or things in general bother them too much and they call for censorship of video games and censorship of comics and censorship of this and that. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about just basic having human decency. Just the basic understanding of empathy and understanding, wow, I had a garbage day. Maybe the guy I'm playing against on Marvel or on Street Fighter or whatever, maybe he had a garbage day too. Maybe I shouldn't be a shithead to him. You know, just understanding that basic level of human empathy. It seems like it was more understood back when it was just trolling messages about your mom and the N-word than it is now. Like nowadays, the words might not be as harsh. They might not be as prone to slurs or things like this because you're more likely to get banned. But it feels like the meaning is more mean-spirited. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I genuinely feel like people now are more ready to pick fights over the most baseless things. And I've seen it push my friends away from games that are fun, pull them out of those communities. I've seen it push people online away from communities that are fun. It just feels like people get online and they have a mindset of not even, if you mess with me, I'll mess with you, but I'm going to go out of my way to fuck you over. And I don't understand it. I feel like whatever level you're at, even if you're a great player, this is not something that should be acceptable. And video game companies, I do think, should listen to fans. I do think should listen to players. And sometimes that 1% of players does matter. You know, like, I watch Ninja sometimes. I used to meme on the dude. But, like, I watch him sometimes, and you know what? Overall, pretty nice guy, pretty chill, pretty mellow. And sometimes he brings up a great point. with a game he's playing like Fortnite, and it's like, yeah, this dude totally understands like what he's talking about technically. But I'm much more likely to listen if he's not picking a fight with somebody. You know what I mean? Like, I would be much more likely to listen to him because he's being a decent, level-headed person who's not a psychopath who goes on the internet to ruin someone's day. I just don't get it. I'm okay with trolling. I'm okay with jokes. I'm okay with stuff like that. I'm very forgiving. I'm not somebody who would go back through the Xbox 360 chat logs from 15 years ago and cancel somebody, right? I've talked about that kind of thing. I've said how stupid I think that is. I think a lot of these words have been flippantly used without meaning by people, where they don't understand deeper context behind them and nothing is meant by it. You can argue amongst yourselves if you think that's good or not. I don't, but it's just an explanation of why people behaved the vulgar way they did in the past online. But nowadays, I actually think these things are coming from a genuinely mean-spirited place, where it's driving people away from games. It's driving developers away from talking to gamers because they think we're all psycho losers, genuinely. And it's driving gamers away from wanting to be friends with each other. You know, I have run a Let's Play channel, Degenerate Plays, down below, podcast-style Let's Play channel you should check out. The views are down. Help me get them up. Check it out. It's fun. We hang out. We play games, right? One thing I've pushed my audience to do there, or even here, is try to make friends. You know, like, if you don't have friends, talk to people. Make friends. Within reason. Okay, don't get yourself killed. But, like, trying to connect with people. That's something I want. But even something I noticed, like, in my own comment sections and stuff like that from the multiple channels I run, people are afraid to talk to each other because they don't know if someone else is just going to be a psycho bitch to them. They don't know if someone's going to fly off the handle and literally go after them for no reason. There's just this unacceptable level of immaturity on the internet that I genuinely do believe is now from a more mean-spirited place than it has ever been, and I don't think it benefits anyone. I know this is a little bit aimless in terms of my critique, and it probably won't change anything, but, like, it's why I don't like interacting with online games anymore with other people. I will get in them, I will play my role, and I will shut it off and talk to my friends. And it sucks that that's the way it is now, but that's just how I feel. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Hopefully, if you take anything from this video, it's that you should try to be a decent person to other people. Often, you know, they might not deserve it, I don't know, but it's still worth doing. If you want to support this channel, there are online games I play like Fortnite. We do have a Fortnite creator code, DJAY123. Supporting that helps us out quite a bit, and I appreciate you, so thank you for doing that. And also as well, we have our own store, CosmoBunny.shop, where we sell coasters, keychains, trays, and more. We never print pictures. We don't print a single picture. What we do, what do you do then? Thank you, guy who's not being held captive in my closet. Please don't report that. That's a joke. What we do is we take comics, manga, magazines, and other books that are damaged. What do you do with them? Well, we take some of the paper, we transform it into a new medium, save some of that stuff, transform it, recycle the rest, make sure it does not end up in landfills, and we create new awesome products for your home. So discount code DJAY123, same as our Fortnite code, will get you 10% off your first order over there. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shui.